Hi, welcome to Clutter Bravado.
Yes, and it's the energy. It's not just about the stuff.
So we should probably just get into it, right?
Let's go. Good morning. Live from the Kimberly Denman studio in Los Angeles, this is Clutter Bravado. I'll fucking
Honestly, you're doing great at that. It's
I'll
fun.
keep practicing.
It's fun. It's
I'm
so,
trying.
Today's episode is going to be a little bit different.
Yep.
It's just us. It's just Elyse and Laurent having a chat, talking to each other.
Well, we did a lot in the last, 10 days?
We've done so much in the last 10 days. And so we figured we would just take today to recap everything and also some things that we've been looking at lately, some inspiration we've been finding.
And some
Anti-inspiration.
Anti-inspiration.
Here also, I mean, in this episode, you're going to get a little snarky.
I'm going to try to not be an old French, how do you say
Curmudgeon?
Yes.
You're not, I don't think old French curmudgeon is something that you have to worry about being, because I don't think that you are.
No.
What I do think is that maybe there's like a healthy dose of pretension. But listen, I have been told throughout most of my life that I can be quite opinionated. You've told me that also. And I think that in that way, that the two of us, we can have like a medium dose of potentially pretension. But
there's a part of me, I mean, all right, how do I say it nicely? Yesterday was so bad that there's part of me that actually is doubting.
Are we just going to go into it right away?
No, we're just going to mention the fact that in the pretension, it was so bad that I'm actually doubting myself.
Oh
yeah. I'm wondering. All right, let's get to it in the way.
Should we just get it out of the way?
I'm going to describe it. Yesterday, we went to the Pasadena Showcase House.
The Pasadena Showcase House.
Because of many reasons, it took me 2.5 hours to get to Pasadena from. So I left here. I went to pick you up.
Yes.
Then we drove to Pasadena. We had a problem with the car. We had to stop a little bit.
There was a lot of steps. Yes, exactly.
Tried to go to lunch, which was a failure.
Did not work out. Yeah.
And then parked at the Santa Anita Park, and then we had to shuttle. So by the time we got to the house, it was 2.5 hours in the car from me. Now, I was 10 miles away from the Talmadge in Pasadena. So 10 miles, 2.5 hours. And then when we walked into the house, I somehow felt that I was 500 miles away from LA, and that was 40 years back from 2025. So there was a lot of distance traveling that was kind of not distance traveling, and time traveling that was definitely not time traveling. So it put me in a mood where it was a little bit of a twilighty, zony kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to explain it.
Would you say that maybe your usual sensibilities, patience, and understanding in a situation like that maybe that was worn thin by the fact that you experienced car trouble? Well, first, having to drive across LA to come pick me up in the valley, and then driving to Pasadena, having car trouble on the way there, having to take the streets, driving through all of East Los Angeles.
It's possibly just not the house's fault, but
well, okay.
It didn't help.
All I'm saying is that you started off in an already mildly irritated space, right? Also, you were dehydrated.
That must be it.
I know that when I get dehydrated, I turn into a raging bitch. When I need food and water, if I don't have those two things, I am not fun to be around. So I wouldn't necessarily say that about you.
It could. But when we stopped at the cafe over there,
we did.
And the couple before us were asking for a gin and tonic and a Jameson, I regret not drinking anymore because it would have probably helped. I'm sorry.
To be
but
fair, also, it was Mother's Day yesterday. So there was a different kind of crowd, maybe.
there was that
there.
too.
There were a lot of personalities in the building. Um,
So I'm going to be positive.
yes. So we got that out of the way. So first, we went to the Pasadena Showcase House. You arrived a little cranky.
And the organization of that house is fantastic. So I'm going to be positive.
Okay.
That organization, I was impressed.
Okay.
The little shops, the cafes, the amount of volunteers that are guiding you through the house. The house is a beautiful house. And we saw, I love that carriage house.
The carriage house, yes.
I thought that was really well done.
So let's move slowly through it. Because I want to...
No, I need to move fast.
I
that thing, I have
understand.
PTSD. I need to just...
So the house...
we went through the house and then we went to the carriage house and it was great.
The house was built in the 1920s. And...
What a property.
It's a beautiful property. There is a gorgeous tree in the backyard. Like the land is stunning. We also missed
the landscape. The landscape was nice, though.
Yes, the landscape was nice, and they also had landscape designers coming in and working with that. So they did an incredible job, I'll say. And I agree with you that like everyone was so helpful. Everyone who was working there was really kind for the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, that was...
It was a long day, and people were dealing with a lot of people. So we were there in the late afternoon.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Fully
For all that,
understand.
they were really
Considering
good. Considering it was
incredible.
hot.
Yeah.
They saw,
Yes.
1,500 or 2,000 people.
Yes.
I thought that at 4 o'clock, they were incredible.
Incredible. Yes. So what they encourage you to do is to start with the carriage house. We started with the main house, but I want to talk about the carriage house first because I was enamored with it. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. The designer is Kirsten Blazek, and from 1,000 Times Better Design.
Yeah, I like that.
I love it. Like that was honestly my favorite part of the entire tour. All of the rooms in the house, I will say that the carriage house won for me. It's really cute. When you walk in, it's a very small house. So it's a living room with a very small kitchen. You go upstairs, there's a bath and then a bedroom. And she did so much with such a small space. And she has an incredibly... like everything also flows really intuitively. The design like keeps you sort of moving through the house, but it also allows you to feel really rested and serene in every corner of the space. She used a really beautiful wallpaper that wasn't too loud or too busy, but still had a lot of like fun. Added some dimension to, again, a fairly small space. The way that she incorporated the staircase, because the staircase is right next to the kitchen. When you walk in, you see kitchen, staircase, living room. It's all right there. And the kitchen, there were so many little details in the kitchen that I had pointed out. She used like a walnut paneling that was stunning. Yeah. It was really, really beautiful. The slabs that she chose are really lovely. There was a plaster range hood that I thought was a really nice element of the space. And initially, because you can see the before photos in all of the rooms, and it was I'm not gonna lie, pretty hideous in there.
Well,
yeah,
to look at all the photos of the I'll be positive, all of those designers invested a lot of time to restore that house, because to what we saw in pictures, that was just
they were really working with a pretty blank canvas.
Yeah.
But there was also in the house itself, there was a lot of really really lovely woodwork. And there were some built-ins that were left in there. The flooring is really lovely. There was like a coffered ceiling in the living room, I believe.
That was
beautiful,
lovely, yeah.
Beautiful. And those were left, and most of the designers left the details of the house that were a part of the initial architecture. But again, there was so much work put into everything. There was so much money put into everything. I mean, they really, there was a lot of attention to detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So The primary bedroom was cool.
The primary bedroom was wonderful. That was Plaster and Patina. Alexandra Azel, I think is how you pronounce her name. I don't want to mispronounce it, but it was Plaster and Patina is the design studio that did the primary suite. And the primary suite, I loved.
I like that too.
Yeah, I loved it. The way
cool
that
art.
Yeah, the art was really lovely.
That bed was, I liked that. The bed itself.
So the bed itself, they moved it away from the walls, so it was kind of in the center, almost in the center of the room. Not in the center of the room,
but
it was a few feet off of the wall. And I thought that it added a lot of dimension into the space. They also used bookcases that were open on either side, so it was just sort of like shelving and placing things on the shelves that would allow you to look through to the other side of the room, but still allowed you a little bit of privacy. They used that in smaller bookcases that were on either side of the bed, and then also to separate between the sort of seating area. There's like a little desk area that's in a separate alcove off of the bedroom. Almost like a sunroom, it felt like, because there was beautiful windows, and it was a lovely little alcove over there. Yeah.
Color scheme was great.
The color scheme was really lovely. It's a lot of neutrals, but with little pops of like really rich, sort of almost jewel tones. Yeah. But yeah, like there was an amethyst, there was some rust in there, and I thought that even with the wall color, and it made the room feel really cozy and really.
And it's a big room.
It is. It's a huge space actually. But in the bedroom itself and in the alcove, like, it felt really grounded. And I feel like if I were to be in that space, if that was my bedroom, that would be a really lovely place to retreat. And I thought that they were really intentional with a lot of things in there. There were a few elements of it that you did not like.
No, yeah, I didn't like everything, but I liked a lot of it.
Yes,
Well, that's why I'm
The bath
jumping
was lovely.
Through. Oh, the bath was lovely, yes.
Yes, the bath was lovely. There were some bold choices in the bath, I thought. And I mean, that's when you're doing a showcase house, making bold choices is really kind of the way to go, because you want to affect people. You want people to remember the space that you created in a positive way. Another room that we did like was the men's powder room. And the men's powder room, I believe that was downstairs. Awesome. Smoky mirrors. I love a smoky mirror. I love a dark mirror. I think that space especially, it had an innate sexiness to it. Yeah. It felt sexy. There were nudes photographs in the space, which I thought was really a lovely touch. And it was Javiera, who was one of our guests on the show previously. And she's in our most popular episode, actually, The Art of Nude Photography with Javiera Estrada. And so some of her photos are in that space. And I loved that. I loved that touch. The colors that she used in that room, which was sort of like really rich, smoky navy, and there was some, I believe she's wallpaper in there too. Awesome. Awesome.
You know what I loved? I loved the way the photo was hung from the ceiling to be over the mirror. I thought that was really clever. There was a lot of thought that went into it. I liked that little detail. I thought it was clever. I'm gonna switch back to a room that I know the kitchen and
the great room.
And the great room. I did not agree with all the choices. However, it was a huge room, and the work that the designer did, the amount of work was stupendous.
Yes. So just to give anyone who, if you're not anywhere near the Pasadena Showcase House, I do highly recommend that you go check out their Instagram, because you'll be able to see all the rooms that we're talking about. And as well as we can describe them, it does help to have the photos too. So you can go check those out. And it's also on the website for Pasadena Showcase House. So the kitchen and the great room, I'm sorry, I cannot remember the name of the designer for that.
Yeah, personally. I don't either,
but I agree with you in a lot of that. It was a huge space. I don't think I've ever been in a kitchen that large before.
Yeah, no, I mean, this one was big, and lots of challenges to make this place, this room. I would have a tough time figuring out, what to do because it was so big.
Yeah.
And I thought that, considering that it's a showcase house, and she did well. I mean, a couple of things that I would not have done, but it was.
That's something that is really interesting though about looking at other designers' work, is that when you're in a space, like the designer is working with a client, and in this case, the designer is working for the designer. So they obviously are working with the Pasadena Showcase House, like interior design board. So things have to get approved, and they're also, working with their sponsors and things like that. So, so there are some parameters to it, but looking at the choices that somebody makes and saying like, oh, that's not a choice that I would have made, but I see what they're doing here. Yeah. And I think in that room, that was a really great embodiment of that, where, I've never been in a kitchen that had 2 islands that size before. These were the biggest kitchen islands I have ever seen. You know how there was like a trend back in like the early 2000s of like serving sushi on naked ladies?
Shit, I missed that.
You never went to a party where they serve sushi off of a naked lady? Come on now.
No,
not one.
No.
How have I been to a party like that?
You're fancier than I am.
Okay, that's not true.
Well, apparently so.
I did. I was modeling, so I go to like fashion parties.
See what I mean?
Okay, so that makes sense. But if you did that in this kitchen, you could put
you could
6,
have 3 on each.
3 on each easily. You could if you put a blow up mattress on either of them, you could easily sleep 6 people.
It was wild.
These are the biggest kitchen islands I have ever seen. Like, where do you even get a slab that big? Like, it was really impressive. It was really impressive. Again, not something that I would have chosen to do 2 giant islands, but I also really liked that they like one of them had an area for stools, so there was counter seating. The other one was really just for utility, and there was the formal dining room, and then there was also like a smaller dining room that was off of the great room. So there were 2 dining areas, which when I was first looking at it, I'm like, oh, there's like only a small dining room. Like, what do you need this much kitchen for? Who are you cooking for? If everyone's just going to be seated around this
big party outside,
I guess, you need the space. But it was really cool. I thought that she did a really great job with the amount of space that she had, and also the great room. So it's like a living room area. And it's like, it just seemed like a space where if you're cooking on Thanksgiving and, you have like all the boys that want to sit and watch the football game or whatever, it was neat. It was neat. And they did built-ins for the bookcases. And I was very impressed by that. There was a lovely other little offshoot. It was kind of like a kitchen, but it was the garden room. Yeah. And I loved the garden room. That was
charming.
Yeah, Beatrice Rose is the
really
designer
charming
for that, and
that was poetic.
Yeah. I loved the colors that she used. They were very muted. It kind of had a cottagecore vibe to it, but not in an over the top sort of way. Like, it felt really inspired. It felt like a place that I would love to sit and eat bread and write. Mm-hmm. And it, set up for the garden, so it had like little gardening tools and a little mud area, which I thought was cute. But I thought that room was one of my favorites. And one other one that I do want to shout out is the laundry room. Again, I cannot remember the name of the designer. I have already like followed her on Instagram, and I have to remember her name. But the designer of the laundry room, so smart. So smart. Very simple. It was to the point. This is a laundry room. You have everything that you need for storage. These little pull-out hangers where you could hang your clothes to dry. And it was so smart. It was a perfect use of such a tiny space. But it made me trust her as a designer, where I'm like, oh, if I come to you and there's something that I need to get done, you're going to do it. And you're going to do it in a smart way without making it too over the top. Now, all of that being said,
there were other rooms. And I think I'm going to leave it as there were other rooms.
All I have to say is this one thing, okay? I'm not going to be mean, but an AI art piece, let me rephrase, an AI image printed on a canvas, put into a frame, mounted above the mantle as the centerpiece of a room.
And
listen.
My
No.
mouth
Ooh. And here's the thing. I had a gut feeling. I'm like, why does that piece of art it's standing out to me. Something about it seems off. I look at the letters. I can't talk more about this because then the designer is going to know.
Oh, but they already knows if he watches that.
I understand. And here's the thing. Like, I love creativity, and I think that room was incredibly creative, and I'm going to give it that. I will say that it was super creative. It was neat. This is where I draw my line. Okay. This is where I'm like, we have to have a conversation as a culture. AI art should not be framed on your wall.
In a showcase house? Yeah, for sure.
Especially in a show, but also in your home. Yeah. Like there are so many artists.
Right.
There are people whose souls and entire life has revolved around their artistic expression using paint, using charcoal, using pastels, colored pencils, using any of these tools that we have available to us. Art is something that is created by man, period. Woman, obviously, but by a human being. Now, I know a lot of artists that use AI for their artistic expression. That's a whole other thing. One of my dear, dear, dear friends does that, okay? And I respect you. The way that she uses it is in a really creative way. But all I'm saying is, I think that she would probably agree.
Probably.
To have it printed on a canvas, no less. Like, on a canvas? Why does it need to be on a canvas? So I can believe that why lie to me? Like, don't lie to me like that. Print it on a poster. Look, you know what I mean? This is the only thing that I will get really heated about. That bums me out. AI art printed on a canvas, framed and placed above the mantle. Imagine that this piece, you have a beautiful, beautiful painting above your mantle, above your fireplace. It is the centerpiece of the room. This painting is stunning. It is gorgeous. It says something. It sets a mood for the room.
Well, that piece set the tone for the whole room. Let me tell you that. Ouch. So there's one room though that I want to talk about.
Okay.
So it's the teenage girl's room.
Are we gonna go into it? Listen,
it's a room that I remember. It was
okay.
So it was well done. There was a whole thing that I actually liked. I just don't know that in 2025, if you put a teenage girl in there, she's not going to jump out the window, but...
Okay, but here's the thing. So the person who was in the room, who is representative of the designer and wanted to talk about what the designer's ideas were, said that if you were a teenage girl in that time period,
right,
this is what the room would look like. And so it was very much created for that time period.
For that time period. So it was strange. But it was well done.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't agree. I guess I didn't agree that was the best. But at the end of the day, I do remember that room.
Yeah.
And it was striking.
Yeah.
And with all the things that I don't agree with, I thought it was striking. So I want to give her credit for that because there was something there.
I know that when you went through it, the first thing, you had a lot of grumbling that was going on. Well, you were grumbling about it a little bit. And I think that grumbling sort of, and this is what I understand.
In the grumbling?
In the grumbling. And also I think why I internally may have been grumbling a little bit as well is that if I'm looking for a designer for my home, and I want to get an idea of their style, right, not just their interpretation of
a 1925.
Something that's from that specific era. And maybe a lot of their clientele like has older houses, and they want to create something like that. I think it was a beautiful showcase of all of the art on the walls was hand painted, and I thought that all of the hand painting design was absolutely mind blowing. It was beautiful. I think that the color
that went into that room was stupendous.
The woodwork of a lot of the furniture I thought was really stunning, and it's obviously like a lot of vintage like source things. They had an old radio in the corner. Yeah. I thought that was really cute. And I think, but the reason why I internally grumbled a little bit when I walked in, this has nothing to do with them. It was the hottest room in the house.
That's true. Poor thing.
And I felt so bad for the girl who was in there because she had this fan, but she was also like holding it together extraordinarily well. Yeah. And I think that maybe little hot. So
possibly
that may have affected it. But also, I guess I am never going to be a teenage girl in the 1920s. And I don't know how many clients of mine or clients of theirs are teenage girls in the 1920s. And so if you want to evoke that feeling, I feel like there's a way to do that without making it like a period room. Exactly. I like there was so much intention. There was so much thought to everything that was in there. And also it photographed incredibly well. I was looking at some of the photographs of it, and it's stunning. So if you get a chance to look at it, go check it out. I do feel kind of bad for talking so much smack about that piece of art.
I mean, look, you're not. Just don't get me started on that room. There were a couple of rooms that. Yeah. But having said that, for Deco Showcase House, to finish that the on a positive note.
Yes.
I was impressed by the work of those designers.
There was a lot of work put into it.
A lot of thoughts, a lot of work. I don't know if it was the recommendation of the design board to really stay, to keep the period of the house up front and center, because I think that a lot of designers really kept the 1920s theme going, and that might have been also, a requirement. So I'm not, because a lot of them, which threw me a little bit off, but the work was really good. I thought that the quality, the furnishings, I'm sorry, some of it was really debatable, but the work was there.
Yeah.
The color palette, I think it was, what's the paint company that was sponsoring it?
Was it Dunn Edwards?
Dunn Edwards, I think.
I believe
I hope so.
Yes.
Sorry if it's not.
I think it was Dunn Edwards.
Their color palette chosen was really pleasing.
Yes, I agree.
And the organization of that showcase house, hats off. 60 years, I get it. My hats off to.
This was also your first time at the Pasadena Showcase House.
Yeah.
This was my second time. I went there last year. And I will say, I mean, I loved the house from last year. There were so many little moments in that house that will stick with me forever that I thought were really lovely. In the one from last year, the entryway, it was like the staircase going up. So I'm not sure if it was like the entire entryway or if it was just that one like side of the staircase. But there was this beautiful vignette with like a chair, a small side table, some books that were stacked there, the wallpaper that was there, the curtain that was there. I thought it was stunning, and it was so strange, and really, it was a really cool moments in there. And I noticed that last year too, it was really, again, really well organized, really well put together. And there were rooms in that house last year that I walked into and I wanted to walk out faster than I walked in.
Right.
Like, I don't like it in here. There are a few of those. And I think that you're going to find that at any showcase house, or I mean, any of the trade shows that we've been to too, when you walk by a booth and you see something that you're just like, oh, this is not me. And it really is so subjective rather than objective. And so it's based on your taste. And there were a few rooms in the house when we walked through that I'm like, oh, I do not like this at all. But I know that this is someone's favorite thing. And that's something that I can really appreciate. And I felt the same way too when we went to that art show. Was it
the Roosevelt?
Yeah, Felix.
Yeah.
There were a few artists that I despised, did not like. And then there were others that really called to me. And I also know that there was one that we debated on, an Australian painter that we debated on, where I walked in, I'm like, I'm obsessed with this piece. And you're like, oh God, I can't stand it. And then you stared at it longer and you're like, okay, what? I kind of like it.
Yeah.
And the more that you look at it, the more you engage with it, the more you pay attention to the details. Sometimes like things that you really like will come out, but we will always have that like first opinion about something, like whether you love it or whether you hate it. Like it's still, I mean, it's art. And I feel like this was an example of design, interior design as an art showcase.
And final thoughts in Southern California, which is to organize something like this and be that successful, it's really hard.
Yes.
And the fact that they are able to maintain that and have a showcase house, I'll go back and support it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I liked it last year. I had a better time this year than I thought I was going to have, considering how I walked in. But I did enjoy it, and yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend, like, we support Pasadena Showcase House and everything that they do. I mean, they are doing so much for the community, and most of the designers are from the Pasadena community.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of respect for that. And there are a handful of designers that did it last year, that did it again this year, or who have done it in previous years and did it again. And I think that kind of like community and network that they're all building with each other, I think that there's something that we speak to it a lot when it comes to the LA design community.
Yeah,
it's all very close knit and everybody is really tight with each other. And I, again, like, I'm going to be reaching out to a few of those designers because I would love to have them on the show. I would love to have them on. It was fun.
Yeah. Another topic of something that was not a gimme, but that was Design LA.
Yeah.
To start on a positive note, I thought it was pretty successful for a first year of, doing events on the Highland and Beverly and La Cienega, and, because this town is hard to...
So Design LA really kind of came out of the LCDQ, which was the La Cienega Design Quarter. And they would have like Legends every year, or was it two different things?
No, it was Legends was.
So it's Legends, which was part of LCDQ. So the La Cienega Design Quarter isn't as, I guess, bustling as it once was. There are a lot of shops that have closed, and then a lot of them that have moved in different areas of town. And now Highland, there's Holly Hunt is over there. You have Black Men Cruz over there. You have Apparatus and Ralph Pucci, and I'm missing some. I'm certain. Oh, and BDDW. So there are a lot of showrooms that have sort of spread out through Hollywood. So they wanted to create Design LA, where it's opening up all of those, and you have events and panels and all of those locations.
And Guard and Nikki Keogh were part of it.
Yes, that's right. On Beverly.
And then there were events on Melrose, at Ken Folks, at Ben Soleimani, High Schultz, Gracie.
Yeah.
So it was...
Yeah, and Robertson with Eichholz. How do you pronounce it? Is it Eichholz?
High Schultz, I think.
Okay.
A new showroom.
Yeah.
Natasha Barandaran on Robertson as well at events there. So it was ambitious.
All over. It was ambitious. For sure. There was a lot
Tons
happening.
of lectures, which was, I don't know how it worked. I mean, we're not inside, but, tons of lectures.
Yeah.
People showed up. It was reasonably busy everywhere we went. Not crazy. Maybe you didn't feel as much of the excitement when it was just on La Cienega, which was... there are probably issues with a 3-day event plus an opening night, which how realistic is it for busy designers to, take off like that? But overall, you know what?
It seemed like a success to me. And I think there are a lot of other designers that we've talked to that have felt like it was There were a lot of real positives to it. There were a handful of windows that were designed.
Yeah.
And Emma DeRoche did one and incorporated one of your sofas, which we talked about a little bit on the last episode, but we got to see it and go check it out. And she is so talented. I really loved how she brought a lot of different elements about her personality and her character into this space. And her main centerpiece of art was wild, and I loved it. And she also did an incredible job of supporting you and the other makers and artisans that
she was really
she represented in there. So I mean, she did an incredible job. I adore her. She's such a sweetheart.
Her neighbors, that was really new design. I mean, someone I didn't know, but she borrowed last minute a console from us, and she could not have been nicer.
Yes.
Both windows were at Modern Rugs.
At Modern Rugs, yeah. Also, I'm gonna say this. Maybe this is a little bit polarizing, but I think Modern Rugs may have had one of the best events. They had you know how I am about snacks, right? So they had Thai food, amazing. They had a boba station.
True.
They had a boba bartender, a boba tender, if you will.
All right, I'm gonna be. You didn't miss it. Ralph Pucci had the most delicious food.
Okay, you're correct. Wait, I'm wrong on this. Also, this is a big area, not of contention, but this is maybe even controversial.
Is it controversial, the fact that Ralph Pucci serves white wine and no food at every party?
At every party, they never serve food.
and this time around, it was delicious.
They had a whole spread, and it was
Mendocino
amazing.
Farms, I think. It was
gorgeous.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, we got the heads up about this from Ariane, who works there. And I love her. And when she was like, hey, by the way, you have to stop at Ralph Pucci because we're going to have food. Everyone that she said that to, were like, oh, no way. Ralph Pucci never has food.
The showroom looked good.
It looks really
Apparatus'
good.
Showroom looks fantastic.
Always.
Adam and David from Blackman Cruise had a good event.
Yes. At Apparatus, Bridget Romanek and Jake Arnold had a panel there, which is so cool. Oh,
So there was some cool stuff. Peter Sandel at Arbinger had a model in the window.
Oh.
Which was very funny.
It was very funny.
So we missed the opening night because we went to a wonderful dinner.
Yes. Kendall Wilkinson, who we had on the show previously, just released a book. I have it here. And it is called Beauty All Around. And it is a beautiful book. She has worked on this. This is a collection of projects that she's done over the years, but a lot of them are some of her newer projects. And many of them are from the same clients. It is a perfect visual collection of her work, the message that she has, and how she expresses her skill and her artistry as a designer. Throughout this entire book, there's a lot of storytelling in it, talking about how she gets her inspiration, what the history of certain spaces are. And I just love how well this is photographed, how beautifully this is put together. So because we got to chat with her right before she released the book, and it was wonderful to have her on the episode, we were invited to a dinner that she put together. This is my favorite thing. She put this dinner together full of people that don't know each other.
And we had the best time.
It was so wonderful to talk to so many people that are the only thing that many of us have in common is Kendall. Mm-hmm. And then you find out that, like, you know, one of the people that was there used to be a major client of yours from Habitat. And then you have there's someone there who's like, you're that chef guy, right?
You're that chef guy. I like that.
I love it.
She was and Jason. So we had Jason, who we need to have for dinner.
Jason Malta, we need to have him on the show. He needs to come on the show immediately. Yes.
He's twin sister needs
and
to be
his
on the
twin
show
sister.
too.
We should have them both
Understand?
at the same time.
Oh, maybe that would be
Yeah.
so much fun.
Oh my gosh, that would be so fun.
So we had an amazing time.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I love the book,
Mm-hmm.
and congrats, Kendall,
Yeah.
because I don't know. I mean, there are a few pieces from us in the book, and she's been a huge supporter of both Habité and Kimberly Denman over the years, and I'm just so happy that we could do that and have the book, and
Yeah.
it really means a lot.
It was
it's
really
funny.
nice. And also we had dinner. This was on Cinco de Mayo, and we had like the best dinner. It was really, really good food too. So
Oof.
should probably toss that in. And
On the other end,
oh, are you going to say it? Are you going to talk about it?
anyone there? All right. I'm not saying where we were, but I'm going to rent. A plate of crudité, 2 mocktails, 2 chicken paillards, and a soft serve ice cream cannot be $180. It just can't.
Repeat
And
that
wait.
again. Wait, repeat that again.
A plate of crudité,
A plate of crudité.
like little broccolini with the tiniest bit of hummus, 2 chicken paillards with a little bit of arugula, a tiny bit of, Parmesan, not even that good. I mean, the other part was like, it was pedestrian at best. The soft serve ice cream was actually the best part of the thing. 2 mocktails that were pedestrian and a bottle of sparkling water, $180. How?
Wow.
Where? No. And
No.
it was, because the one before that was not good either, with a
We
huge
had
plate
two-
of pasta.
We had 2 bad dinners. We had 2
and
bad
and
dinners.
so effing overpriced. I'm like, I'm sorry. I know it's hard to run a fucking restaurant in LA. I'm sure it's hard.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, for all of us to make money, it's hard too. And
Yeah.
you can't freaking serve, no.
Okay, wait. Well, I want to talk to you about this because we had this conversation and I need to share it with everyone. And I feel like other people who are in Los Angeles and experiencing dining in LA have the same experience. I don't want to share.
Oh,
I don't want to share.
well, yeah.
We do things a little bit differently around here. Everything is to share. No, I don't want to share. You know what I want? I want a plate of food that belongs to me that I can eat as much of as I want. I want food that I like. There are appetizers to share. That's a nice communal thing. But when I get my entree, I want to eat my entree. I want to eat the food that I ordered that's for me. I want to eat that.
Well, plus it was not made clear that everything was
No.
for sharing. It was
No.
upselling to the nth degree,
Oh,
and it was ridiculous. And then
complete
it's
lack
like,
of clarity.
I mean, twice in a row was just a little much.
Yeah.
So I'm
I know.
cooking at home again.
So you're back to cooking here. And
I'm back
I
to
like it
cooking
when
here.
you cook for me because you know what else is nice about having dinners here is that we all have our own plates
Yeah.
and that you serve per person.
On the other side,
I don't know why I'm like this. This is also something that I used to have
Yeah.
this when I had a dating app profile. I used to put on it dessert. My dessert comes with 1 spoon. Do not give me what. So I'm sorry. You're gonna serve me a creme brulee with 2 spoons. What's
Oh.
wrong with you? I don't want this straight. Like, especially when I was going on dates with like strangers, essentially. Like, I don't want your spoon in my creme brulee. Get out of here. This belongs to me. This is for me.
Huh.
I don't like to share dessert. I
Okay.
don't like to share food. Period.
Apparently not. Yeah.
No.
But you were kind of stuck there.
The other thing that does really irritate me is when you go to a restaurant and they're like, everything is to share. And then they give you like 3 tiny little meatballs. And you're like, there's 2 of us, 3 tiny meatballs. This means that I get 1.5 meatball. What's wrong with you? Don't do that to me. Just give that to me. I'll have 3 meatballs. That's what I want. Or give me 1 meatball and charge me accurately for it.
Wow.
But anyway, I don't think that restaurant is going to last for very much longer because not a lot of people are talking very positively about it anymore. And And also, you've had an experience at that place
Yeah, it's twice in a row. I mean,
with the sommelier.
it's, yeah. I mean, we're gonna stop because, but
Because they're
nevertheless,
gonna find out what we're talking about. Okay, real quick. This is just a tip across the board. We're being so snarky in this episode. A little tip across the board. If you work in a restaurant, don't talk about yourself before selling food. If somebody, like before somebody orders something, before somebody is ordering their appetizer or ordering their drinks or their wine, don't talk about you. Because
that was funny.
Yes. Like, I don't need to know about that. I don't care about that.
So
Honestly, I'm here to eat. And once I'm fed, I'm like, oh, by the way, who are you? You're sweet. I need to have food in my belly before I can have a conversation with you, or else I'm going to get real mean. And I don't mean this in a way that I don't care about a server as a human being, or a sommelier, for example, as a human being. I do care about them as a human being. But first and foremost, when I'm trying to, God forbid I tried to order wine, I would have had to wait 15 minutes before I would have been able to say, I actually do want the most expensive wine on the menu, when you're trying to talk me out of it while also trying to suggest it at the same time.
Right. But so what was funny is that so the sommelier has a spiel, and it's the second time I go to the restaurant, and it's the second time that he gives that spiel, word for word. And I'll give him that, is that because now I'm interested in the sparkling water, the 5-minute rant on how wonderful he is because he traveled through Italy, and how you can't go wrong with an overpriced wine list is obnoxious at best. But I guess the lady that you were eavesdropping, and the lady that was sitting next to us answered, well, if I was, because his spiel is like, if you were in Italy, wine would be like, a normal thing to,
that
like,
wine
you
with
have
dinner.
to drink,
You
kind
have
of thing.
to have wine.
You have to have wine. I'm like,
and
no,
the
you
thing
don't.
is, like, if you're opening it with, well, I've traveled quite a bit to Italy, and I can tell you that when you're in Italy, they tell you, like, wine is just a part of the meal. Wine is blah, 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 and whatever. The woman next to us is just like, well, if I was in Italy, this glass would be $17, or this bottle would be $17. And I was like, yes, ma'am.
That was funny.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's wrong in so many levels.
Ways.
That I'm like, between the pricing and the fact that there are people who don't drink.
Didn't even ask, do you all drink wine? Because if he had said that first, he would have saved all of us 8 minutes.
Because none of us.
Well, in that case, can I get you a bottle of sparkling? Yes, please. And then leave.
So that experience was bad. On the other end, to finish talking about restaurant in a positive note, I went out with Trip and Itch to Petit Trois, and God, it was good.
Yeah. Petit Trois.
Petit Trois, shout out. Thanks, Ludo.
Shout out.
Wow. That was a good meal.
Oh, great.
So, see,
I'm trying to think if I've been out to any, have I gone? Oh, I did. You know how I take myself out on dates?
Yeah.
Like living my solo dream life where I just get to go do everything that I want by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I went to Figaro on Vermont. Mm-hmm. And now, listen, I don't necessarily go there for the food. I eat it. It's fine. The food's good enough. The environment, the ambiance, the people there, and the creme brulee, that's why I go. I love going there. They have one table that I've sat at they sat me at it many times, because it's essentially just for one. It's tiny. It's tucked in a little corner by the bar, and you can see everything. And I love sitting at that table, getting my dinner. I had like half a dozen oysters and what was it, like a beef bourguignon, I think, or something like that.
You told me that it was a coq au vin.
I did get a coq au vin. You're correct.
You told me that.
Yes, that's right, because I was just gushing about it earlier. But it was like a really average meal, creme brulee.
But
Perfect.
You know what?
And I sit there.
To make a coq au vin is it's a dish that you have to cook.
Yeah.
It's nice. I'd like to try it.
The meat itself is really good. Vegetables.
Yeah.
But honestly,
sometimes.
When I just want to have a nice meal by myself, do some people watching, and I bring my notebook, and so I just will write out all my thoughts. That's one of my favorite things to do by myself. And I do it there. I love doing it there. It's so nice. And service is fantastic there. There's one server who's been there, I think, the entire time I've lived in LA, at least for 10 or 15 years. He's awesome. I love it there. It's like one of my, home bases in LA.
So see, it's not all bad, but when it's bad, boy, it hurts.
Yeah, and it's usually the places that are newer and are very high priced. Now we had a restaurateur on here of owner of a restaurant that is also new and high priced. But that place kind of rules. And it's not all of them.
The restaurant's busy, and but he's a real restaurateur. The other one, I think that they're full of themselves, and it just shows. I'm sorry.
Whatever. There were 2 restaurants that we went to this week that were not great, and
2 that were good. So I guess.
But one thing that is really cool, though, is that both of those dinners that we went out to at bad restaurants, we had an incredible time because of the people we were with.
Yeah, for sure.
Company will change everything.
For sure. Yeah, no, the evening was really, really fun and really pleasant. That's because of the people, but the food was disappointing in both, and thoroughly overpriced.
Yeah.
That's a
that crudité really had just like a hint of hummus with it, didn't it?
Hint of hummus, a lot of olive oil. I mean, a plate of crudité. It's like no, I just.
It was all. I mean, that was priced reasonably. That's when I picked it because I needed a vegetable. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just need a vegetable.
Yeah.
And you eat a lot of French food.
We had, but it's true that those two dinners, our friends who were with us, and we got to meet new people, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to have more restaurateurs on the podcast to talk to them.
Good
I think that
And also, we need to go to new restaurants too. Different ones.
Yeah, well, different ones, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, those are not even. But I don't know too many. But yeah, if anybody had cool suggestions.
Yeah, we'll take your suggestions. clutterbravado@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Any restaurant suggestions.
Or DM us on
also,
Instagram.
you know what's great too? You can email us if you have something not nice to say. We've been very snarky on this episode, and if you're like, excuse me, who do you think you are? clutterbravado@gmail.com is exactly where you should send that. Send it to me. I want to read it.
Yeah.
Don't just keep it to yourself. Honestly,
just send it.
Just send it. You're also always welcome to comment on our episodes on Spotify, on YouTube. I think you can also do comments on Apple Podcasts if I remember correctly. On our Instagram, throw a comment up there. Whatever you feel. I want to hear your opinions because honestly, right now we've been doing this show now this is our 34th episode. And we get some feedback in the wild from other people in the industry and from people that are listening, but I would love to get yours. I want to know what you think. So send it. You can email us. You can comment. You can DM us. I love reading DMs. Let's go. Communicate. Let's make this a two-way conversation because you and I are chatting with each other. We share some opinions on here.
Yeah.
And I want to hear what the people have to say. Okay, here's the other thing. Lastly, though, I know that we're wrapping up here, but I want to be clear with you that the reason why I love having you on the podcast and why I love co-hosting with you is because the two of us come from very different backgrounds. We come from very different experience.
Time period.
Decades. Generations even. And I like hearing your opinion on things. I like walking through the Pasadena Showcase House with you and through Design LA with you because you've seen a lot of evolution in the design industry over the past 30 years. You've seen how a certain trend has begun and then completely played out and how it's maybe returned again. And there are some opinions that you have about art too, like the way that someone will use art in a room that I really respect. And I will say that my own opinions, like while I can have strong ones, usually they're very subjective. They're not really objective in the grand scheme of things, looking at the history of something and coming from a really knowledgeable place.
But you have good instincts.
Thank you. But they are more subjective than objective in that. And I will say too that some of the perspective shifts that I've experienced since I've been working with you have come from having more knowledge. So there are certain things that I'm like, oh, I really like that. And and then I'll learn more about it. I'm like, oh, I see why people don't do that. and not because there's something that's objectively like wrong with it, but when you have more knowledge, you change. Sometimes it changes your opinions. And I like that a lot of mine have evolved. And that being said too, in something like the Pasadena Showcase House, there are a lot of people that aren't like educated in art history, that aren't educated in the history of architecture and design, and haven't followed trends all the way through for years and decades, and don't know a lot about art. And when it comes to walking into a room and deciding what you like, they're basing their choice on like the way that they feel is it's based on what they like personally and what their associations are. And I don't think that there's necessarily anything wrong with that.
No.
And I don't want to come from a judgmental place where I'm like, oh, you don't know about this, well then that means you have bad taste. Like, no, not necessarily. It's a different taste than mine, and my taste is different than yours. But there are a lot of there are a lot of areas of like wiggle room, and a lot of things are subjective. So, and maybe some people love sharing pasta.
But the one thing that so taste is subjective. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Quality is not, which is what I loved about, for example, the primary bedroom. I thought that she used a lot of really quality art, quality furnishings, for the most part. You know, other than the color scheme. Sharing a plate of pasta, I'm for it, but make it a good plate of pasta, not whatever dog food that was.
It wasn't okay.
No, I'm kidding. Okay,
it wasn't dog food.
It was not. But make it a really good plate of pasta.
A really good plate of pasta.
We've had some incredible plates of pasta. Mm-hmm. There's a restaurant, I'll find it for next week, on Western, where we went and we had an amazing Italian meal. Alba was amazing. That focaccia, I remember. Mm-hmm. You know, there's just like, we've had some really, this was not that. And, you know, the burger at Petit Trois, I don't know how much it is. But, you know, for a burger, it's up there.
That's a lot of money
for a
burger.
It's probably one of the best burger in the city. So for quality, you know, I'm willing to just, you know, pay. I resent the fact that it was not a
paying
quality
a high
dish.
ticket price for something that is
just
not good.
Not good is upsetting.
It
now.
feels insulting. You had something else that you were going to say too. What was it? You were interjecting.
I was interjecting. No, because did people answer the thing Gemini is better than Libra? Did I win?
No. No, you didn't win.
Oh, your mom's comment doesn't count. Huh?
My mom's comment does count. My mom's a Libra and my dad's a Libra.
So I didn't win?
My mom and I have the same birthday. My mom and I have the same birthday. That's true.
Yeah. So shout out to my daughter who
also voted for me.
Also voted for you. Thank you. Made me feel really, really, really loved.
Wait, the question was who's worse, and so in that way you did win, but like you won as worst. Yes.
All right.
Anyway, we should wrap this up. So.
Yeah. Last topic because I want in the Clutter Bravado art lifestyle, the fashion part.
Yes. Really. Oh,
really
that's
fast.
right. We have to run through this really quick. The Met Gala.
Yeah.
The Met Gala started as we were like editing the last episode to put it up on last Tuesday. And I really wish that I would have been able to see some of it before we posted it. But since it's, you know, it's been a week, so it's past the news cycle now. But I want to really acknowledge that there was some incredible, incredible art that showed up on the red carpet of the Met Gala. I was so so impressed this year. And just like every year, there are some people who phoned it in. Hailey Bieber, that was embarrassing, honestly. Her attempt at whatever that was, it was really bad. It was a Zara dress, but there were some looks that were absolutely stunning. Couple that I'm gonna name: Jodie Turner-Smith. She wore floor length oxblood crocodile print, or was it python? I don't know. It was this gorgeous multi-layered suit with a crazy hat. Honestly, the hat really almost took it away from me, but it was so bold and stunning. The way that the color worked with her skin tone, everything was glossy. It all looked just very like hydrated to the gods. Absolutely stunning. I was blown away by her look. Another one that really, really stood out to me, Janelle Monáe. Janelle Monáe is known for really bold looks, period. So I've seen Janelle Monáe in concert before, all of the looks on the stage. When it comes to suiting and tailoring, that is what Janelle Monáe is most known for. And I think for that to show up the way that they did, I was mind blown. I mean, absolutely so impressed. Another look that I really want to talk about is Joey King. So Joey King is an actress. Her look on the red carpet was Miu Miu, and it was a green suit with little mirrored embellishments on it, like mirrors with little, like, I don't know if they were like rhinestones and beading all over it. And there were a million different patterns. There was an ascot and a ruffle and a shirt underneath that was black and white checkered. And there were all of these different colors and patterns in her outfit with this underneath this suit that was, I mean, I think the color palette was stunning. The way that her hair and makeup was done was really beautiful. I thought that her hairline looked weird. Pretty sure it was a wig, and if it was a wig, I wish it would have been installed a little bit better. And if it was her actual hair, then her hairstylist really...
Oops.
But the look itself
was
gorgeous. Makeup, spot on. I mean, everything fit beautifully. I think it was incredibly well done. I did think that a lot of celebrities did kind of phone it in. And there were a few choices that were made that, like, I'm gonna leave my opinion sort of at the door on it, because considering that this is honoring the Black dandy, and it's a lot of Black male culture in this suiting and tailoring, and it's from a very specific part of history that you gotta do your research on in order to show up properly. I think that, again, I'm gonna rag on Hailey Bieber. She's, she's very famous and very successful for doing whatever it is that she does. And I think that she could have done any homework on this. Like, she could have showed up in literally anything other than what she did. And I thought I kind of felt that was rude. It was rude. It was disrespectful.
But for the most part, I mean,
there were a couple of celebrity women that I think were a little liberal with their spray tan, considering the theme. And I feel that it could have read in a way that maybe they didn't intend it to.
Maybe they just spent 2 weeks in the Bahamas.
Maybe you
don't know.
Maybe they were in Saint-Tropez.
Yep. No, not Saint-Tropez. It was raining.
Okay.
So the Bahamas.
But yeah, lots of sun.
Lots of sun.
Hey, totally.
But I thought it was
a spray tan. It was definitely a spray tan. It's fine. But Coleman Domingo, can we talk about him really quick?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember his look?
Yeah.
Oh, incredible. It was a cape and a suit. And the suit underneath was so beautiful and fit him like a glove. Obviously, since this was already a week ago, it's already kind of like through the mill. We've already been through it already, but I highly recommend to go look at the people that I brought up. There was one other one that I knew I wanted to. Do you remember? Zendaya.
Zendaya. Yeah. Zendaya. Yeah. With that white suit. Oh. So chic.
Oh. She's a dream. Yeah. She's a dream. She's
and
a vision.
The way she carries herself is just like, it's just feels so flawless and natural.
She's flawless.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. And that suit was incredible on her. The hat was amazing on her. And it was inspired by a role that Diana Ross played, and they happened to be on the red carpet at the same time, so they got a couple photos together. Diana Ross, when she arrived, queen. So she arrived as the queen, and she was the queen. The winner of the red carpet.
The winner?
Yeah.
And everybody. In my world, I told you that.
Everybody won?
Yeah. That's one of those fields where I feel like, I don't know, that you missed the mark or not. You're gutsy. You support a whole industry. Everybody wins to me. I mean, like the whole industry. I thought that it was just,
Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, I hear where you're coming from, but there was a winner.
Okay.
And it was Tiana Taylor. Tiana Taylor was one of the first people on the red carpet.
Oh, yeah.
And she won.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Tiana Taylor. She wins.
She just wins.
She wins. She is... have you ever, like, looked at her? Have you seen her just, like, being as she is in the world? This woman, it trains like an athlete, built like an athlete, has played an athlete in movies, is an incredible actress. Everything about her, you just look at her face, you're like, how do you exist? How are you real? She wins. She wins. And
there you go.
Her fit, the whole look. It had every element that you were hoping you were going to see. Everything that you wanted to see that would fit in the theme. She was an embodiment of it. And she, hands down, I saw her and I'm like, oh, I don't need to look at anyone else. I'm glad that I did. But she was I think she may have been the first person on the red carpet. I'm like, oh, you win. Great job.
So there you go.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that there was a winner from us at Clutter Bravado, the winner of the Met Gala
of the Met Gala is Tiana Taylor.
Thank you.
Easy win. Honorable mention to Sabrina Carpenter, by the way. If you haven't seen what Sabrina Carpenter looked like on the red carpet, you should absolutely look at it. It was by Pharrell. He was one of the whatever. Anyway, we don't have to talk too much about it. Sabrina Carpenter is amazing at everything. She's also like the size of your thumb. She's like this big. It's nuts. She like how is she even like walking around? She was in heels that were like this high. I don't know how she was walking. It was wild. Her whole look was amazing. Cardi B and Burberry. Cardi B and Burberry. Anyway, I could talk about this forever. We talked about that. We brought this up way too late, and now we have to wrap up the episode because we got to get going.
We have to get
out of here. But anyway, we do have a great guest on for next week, I believe. We'll find out together.
It's still not confirmed, but if it all pans out, it's going to be great.
If it pans out, it's going to be great.
And and if you are listening to this podcast, please subscribe. It helps us. And
follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify and you want to know what we look like, just go on YouTube. All of our videos are all of our episodes are recorded. You can just watch us talk to each other. And also, we have our reels on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. If you want to share anything on any of these, you're always welcome to. And one of these days, we're going to start spreading out into Substack and TikTok too. So keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes peeled. It's on its way.
Well, thank you for listening to us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Elyse. It was good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you.